It is to the endless. We're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. Keep watching. Otherwise, you know.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? You know, usually when I make a video for a fight at this magnitude, I usually like to watch the fight a couple of times to get my full assessment on that fight. So we're going to do this video a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and get my quick thoughts out on what I thought about this fight right now. And I may or may not do a second video once I go back and watch the fight a couple times. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. You know, guys, us boxing fans are pretty much programmed into believing that it's always the guy on paper that's supposed to be the biggest challenge. That's supposed to be the most competitive fight, the most difficult fight, right? But a lot of times, when you really think about it, the most difficult challenge or fighter is usually the unknown. The fighter you least expect to give you any problems. And all of a sudden, that fighter, he turns out to almost make history or be connected to your career for the rest of your life. And I think that's what we've seen tonight with this fight between Mayweather and Marcos Maidana. Remember all the fans that were saying that Floyd Mayweather was cherry picking, and I told you guys there was one guy who sent a message saying Floyd Mayweather, he's afraid to even fight a guy with a pulse, and all this other ridiculous talk that we kept hearing. Floyd Mayweather is just cherry picking Marcos Maidana and just basically disrespecting Maidana as an opponent. And it turns out Maidana, he arguably gave Mayweather the hardest fight that he has ever had. I think that was the most competitive fight that we ever seen Floyd Mayweather in. So, you know, congratulations to Marcos Maidana for putting on a terrific performance. Congratulations to Floyd Mayweather for once again having to deal with adversity, having a cut for the first time. Floyd Mayweather said that he couldn't see for 2 rounds. Imagine being in the ring with a guy as vicious, as powerful, and effective as Marcos Maidana, and you're partially blind for a good 2 rounds. That is the type of adversity that Floyd Mayweather dealt with. Doesn't it sound familiar? It kind of makes you think of the Sonny Liston versus Muhammad Ali fight, right? You could clearly see that Floyd Mayweather was in a position that he had never been in before, and he was uncomfortable. When he got cut, you know, he kept pawing at it for the whole round. He kept grabbing it. He kept wincing his eyes. You could tell that he was in deep waters when it comes to the unknown. And once again, with the type of opponent he was in the ring with going through this, many opponents and many fighters, they would have broke down psychologically. They would have broke down, and they probably would have eventually got knocked out. I mean, Floyd Mayweather was really tested tonight, guys. He was really, really tested, and no one could say that this was an easy cherry-picked opponent anymore. Now you would have to say that Floyd Mayweather, he put another extremely tough champion on his resume. Maidana, he did some things in there that was very impressive. The type of pressure, the type of combinations that he threw when he had Floyd Mayweather on the ropes, it was very impressive. It was very impressive stuff. You know, if somebody told me that Marcos Maidana was going to land the same overhand right over Floyd Mayweather's shoulder that he landed on Adrian Broner, I would have said, get the fuck out of here. That's what I would have said. But unbelievably enough, Marcos Maidana, he actually landed the exact same overhand right over the Philly shell that he landed on Broner, and he landed it on Floyd Mayweather. I thought the first 3 rounds, some of them were close, but the majority of the first 3 rounds, I think you could have gave those rounds to Marcos Maidana. I mean, he showed right off the bat that it was going to be a real fight. But, you know, in typical fashion, Floyd Mayweather, after about 3-4 rounds, he started to adjust. Even though he had that cut that was bothering him, you know, he still adjusts. He switched it up a little bit, and he started to outbox Marcos Maidana. He even backed up Marcos Maidana a couple times, you know, which kind of surprised me when Marcos Maidana said at the end of the fight that Floyd Mayweather ran. You know, I didn't really think that Marcos Maidana was the type of person to say something that ignorant. I could expect that from Robert Guerrero's dad or someone like that, but I didn't expect someone like Marcos Maidana to say something like that. That kind of surprised me. And if you listen to the post-fight interview with Jim Gray, even Jim Gray was a little shocked and surprised that Marcos Maidana said that. Because for one thing, one of the main reasons why it's shocking that he would say that is just like Canelo Alvarez, Floyd Mayweather was backing up Marcos Maidana in a couple of those rounds. All right? So for him to say something like that, it was pretty immature and ridiculous and unrealistic. Let's not forget when Marcos Maidana was fighting Soto Karass, he was on his bicycle and he was moving around the ring. So, the only type of fighter who could even accuse someone else of running is a fighter who never backs up, a fighter who's constantly always coming forward. Then you may be able to get away with saying something like that, okay? But another thing, too, is a lot of these power punchers who talk like this, they're usually not in the position that Floyd Mayweather is in, right? Where they actually have to fight a guy who's naturally bigger and stronger than they are. Remember, Marcos Maidana, he blew up to 165 pounds, and Floyd Mayweather, he only went up, what, a pound? I believe he was 148 pounds the day of the fight or the night of the fight. So as usual, Floyd Mayweather, he goes into this fight with a major weight disadvantage, as he usually does in almost all of his fights. But this is once again when Floyd Mayweather did not get deterred and he had to bite down and show his toughness, because he showed his toughness in the ring tonight. I mean, this fight was pretty much Leonard versus Duran, guys. It was that type of fight. And matter of fact, if you go back and you watch the first Leonard versus Duran fight, you'll notice that those exchanges on the ropes, at least in those first 3 rounds, they look almost identical to the exchanges between Duran and Leonard in their first couple of rounds. So this is a good look for Floyd Mayweather. This is a good look to put a Roberto Duran type of opponent on your resume. All right? Now, I don't know if anyone wants to see a rematch. You guys could send some messages and let me know. I'm curious to know who wants to see a rematch. Do you guys want to see a rematch, or would you rather just see Floyd Mayweather move on and fight against someone else? Quite frankly, it doesn't matter to me. I think there's a lot of options for Floyd Mayweather, as there always is. But what I would really like to see is now, looking at Floyd Mayweather's last 2 opponents that he just beat, Canelo Alvarez, Marcos Maidana, I would like to see one of these opponents against Floyd Mayweather's nemesis, Manny Pacquiao. I would really like to see one of these guys go against Manny Pacquiao. Me personally, I don't think that Manny Pacquiao could beat any one of these fighters. I believe that he would have a lot of problems with Marcos Maidana, and of course he would have a lot of problems with Canelo Alvarez. Now, that's not to say that Manny Pacquiao has no chance, because it'll definitely be a competitive fight. But I don't think that Manny Pacquiao could beat either one of Floyd Mayweather's last 2 opponents. And quite frankly, I'm not even sure if he could beat Robert Guerrero. I think Robert Guerrero is very underrated when it comes to his intelligence in the ring. So I think that would be another great fight for Manny Pacquiao. We know that Oscar De La Hoya, he actually set up a meeting to go to Bob Arum's house, sit down, and talk about working together in the future. So we could possibly see these type of fights that I'm talking about, okay? But for the time being, this was a very competitive, entertaining fight. And Floyd Mayweather, being the warrior that he is, he said right after the fight, we could do it again. He said that about 5 times. So we know that Floyd Mayweather doesn't mind getting in the ring with a guy who just gave him his most difficult fight that he's possibly had in his entire career, which once again says a whole lot about Floyd Mayweather. Usually when someone has their toughest fight and they barely win it, they don't even consider going back to fight that guy for a rematch, like Danny Garcia versus Mauricio Herrera, Oscar De La Hoya versus Ike Corte, Julio Cesar Chavez versus Pernell Whitaker. These are all examples where these fighters, they were in one of the toughest fights of their careers, and they had no interest in fighting in a rematch. But Floyd Mayweather, he's different. Floyd Mayweather is willing to fight against a guy who has a chance of possibly beating him in a rematch, a very good chance, if we look at how close that fight was. But realistically, with Floyd Mayweather being the master of adjusting, I think he would most likely go in there and win a rematch even easier. Wouldn't you guys agree? That's usually the pattern of Floyd Mayweather. We seen the last time Floyd Mayweather had a very tough fight. It was against who? It was against Jose Luis Castillo. And we seen Floyd Mayweather come back and beat Jose Luis Castillo very easy compared to the first fight. So easy that Castillo was sitting down in between rounds saying that he couldn't figure it out. He couldn't figure out Mayweather. And after that second fight, Jose Luis Castillo, he had never even entertained ever trying to fight Floyd Mayweather again. So that pretty much lets you know what level that Floyd Mayweather is in when it comes to him coming back and fighting someone in a rematch. You know, I told you guys before, when it comes to a thinker like Floyd Mayweather, you don't want to give him any answers to the test, okay? You want him to come into the test basically not knowing exactly what questions are on the test. But Floyd Mayweather, he knows the questions that are on the test now, and he knows the answers to the test if he were to go in the ring and fight against Marcos Maidana a second time. But don't get me wrong, it would still be an explosive rematch, okay? But before I end this video, I'm just thinking as I'm talking about that first round, and man, that was an interesting round, wasn't it? That was very interesting to see Marcos Maidana jump on Floyd Mayweather the exact same way that he jumped on Adrian Broner. And for the most part, at least in the first couple of rounds, he actually had some success. But another thing that I forgot to mention is Floyd Mayweather. I noticed, and this is what makes Floyd Mayweather so impressive, is because he can adjust so easily in the ring. No matter what he's dealing with in the ring, Floyd Mayweather started to really take a lot of steam out of Marcos Maidana by going to the body. Floyd Mayweather was putting a vicious attack on Marcos Maidana, Maidana's body, so much to the point to where Maidana was backing away from Floyd Mayweather in those later rounds, and he was keeping his hands down low. So I truly believe that Floyd Mayweather actually hurt Maidana with some body shots. But, you know, he wasn't able to take advantage and completely, you know, seal the deal and knock out Maidana. So, you know, Maidana was pretty game, and he obviously was in tremendous shape to go the whole 12 rounds because he was getting caught with some serious body shots later on in that round. And, of course, Floyd Mayweather, man, you got to give him a lot of credit, man. I can't say it enough because Floyd Mayweather took some solid shots. I mean, you guys have to remember the same shots that Floyd Mayweather got caught with. These are the shots that hurt and knocked down Adrian Broner a couple times. These are the shots that hurt and made Victor Ortiz quit, knocked out Soto Carras. These are the same type of shots that Floyd Mayweather was getting touched with, and he didn't go anywhere. So, you know, Floyd Mayweather is always showing us new parts of his game. And he showed a lot of heart when it came to this fight against Marcos Maidana. Once again, this fight was Leonard versus Duran as far as I'm concerned. And another reference I want to make is when you see Marcos Maidana leaving the ring and, you know, everyone's cheering and they're all happy, it reminds you of when Rocky first lost to Apollo Creed, right? It's like he lost the battle, but in some way he won. Because he won the respect from a lot of fans, you know, for making the fight so competitive by giving Floyd Mayweather possibly his toughest fight. So it was still a win-win situation for Marcos Maidana. His stock doesn't go down at all, you know, but the question is Marcos Maidana, the guy who was claiming that Floyd Mayweather was running and all of this, is he man enough to get in the ring with Keith Thurman? Is he man enough to get in the ring with Sean Porter? You know, Marcos Maidana, he's got a lot to think about because he could either do a rematch with Adrian Broner, or he can really step his game up and get in the ring with Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. I highly doubt the fact that he will get in the ring with Sean Porter or Keith Thurman, but who knows? Maybe his confidence is soaring right now because he did such a great job with pound for pound, you know, best fighter in the world and of this era, right? So who knows? Maybe that gives him a confident boost and he'll get in the ring with someone like that. So that's all I got on this one, guys. I'm on to the next one.